everyone, Alex coming at you. Just wanted to come on and do a video. Here's a couple of great responses from Sherv and Dave on the John Coltrane thread that I started earlier in the year. Yeah, definitely not forgotten, very much still in my mind, but just want to do them a little bit more organically, and so as I find the tracks and I'm surprised, I will kind of talk about them as I go, and that's basically what happened this past week. So I was already kind of thinking along those terms, revisiting a record, but before I go to that, this is what's playing in the background. Just bouncing off with the Sherv's video about Cal Massey. This 78 record, The Call from Horace Tapscott, has a composition side to Nakatini Suite by Cal Massey. Yeah, as you can hear, it's a little bit dated, it's a little bit of its time. I think the tune was covered by Lee Morgan in the early 60s as well, so the original composition might be from late 50s, even early 60s for sure. So yeah, kind of I was hoping on revisit that it was going to be a little more I guess Japanese sounding, or the instrumentation would be a little bit different, but yeah, Cal Massey, just revisiting this one, and very interesting story. Sure, thanks for sharing that. And then sort of pulling that thread a little more is this record, also I believe from 78, Horace Tapscott, with Flight. This is a nice reissue that came out a few years ago, and also to bounce off of Dom's thread about community and thanking people. I never got a chance to thank Junior over at Comic Rima, his channel. He gifted this to me maybe about a year ago or so, maybe sometime earlier this year. But thank you, Junior, for this lovely gift. And yeah, great record. The the title track, and I'm sorry, the record is called Flight 17, and the title track is yeah, maybe one of my favorite Tapscott compositions. Fantastic stuff. And then also something I've been thinking about too is this is a John Coltrane thread, is sort of about something that Stunty had said a few months ago about Coltrane being a selfish, just being selfish, I guess, is something to that effect. And I think the reality, right, is that this record is selfish in a way, right? I mean, it's purely one man's vision. It's a religious quest, for some kind of truth, right? And the record itself, right, has basically a manifesto of sorts about this quest, and it's very much as I said, his vision, and the rest of the quartet is there for the ride, essentially, for lack of a better word. And so I think a lot of the post Coltrane music that I find very interesting, and I think the seismic shift in jazz really for me is going from a more sort of competitive approach that was born of the 50s and 60s, and this idea of the soloist, the great man theory, to a much more communal approach that you saw in the late 60s, like with the AACM in Chicago, the loft scene later in New York in the 70s, and Tapscott's own musical commune, the UGMAA. And so, in a record like this, this is not about Tapscott. It's not about his vision. It's about those guys, right? It's about the community of musicians, and the community environment that he's fostering in Los Angeles during this time. And so, yeah, it's a huge ensemble with fantastic players. Yes, Tapscott conducts, but you got Linda Hill, you got Adele Sebastian, Billy Harris, Roberto Miranda, all the excellent musicians that were in the LA area during that time. So I mean that's my interpretation of where maybe yes, Coltrane is in some respects a quote unquote selfish, right? And that's different from saying that he's a selfish person or human being. Obviously, he's was very much the opposite of that, and the message of his music was very much the opposite of that. But he was on a quest, and he was actually moving towards a more communal approach to his music, and that is starting to show in that Seattle recording, for example, where he's bringing Pharoah Sanders, and of course, once he has Alex Coltrane and Rashida Lee and Pharoah as part of the group, it's a little bit more of that communal approach, though not fully. I mean, he was heading there. He was learning the flute towards the end of his career again. But yeah, a very different approach as opposed to this more communal approach that Tapscott embodied. So but yeah, all great music, of course, and just a different philosophy. And now to the track, I think it's the last track on side 3. It's just titled Coltrane Medley. It's 8 minutes long. I'll let it play out. Interesting because you'll hear trombones. You won't hear any saxophones. Fantastic vocals here, presumably from Linda Hill and Adele Sebastian. I don't know if they're both singing or if it's just one of them. Here we go. Well, there you go. Hope you guys enjoy that. Very interesting, beautiful, and really a communal approach to sort of the individual madness of Coltrane. Take care, everyone.